Testing. Right, so in theory, I'm busy. So now I'm live here. Copy video URL. Start streaming. Maybe something. No, normally. Okay. Um, right, so there's some kind of bug in the XML importer. It was introduced relatively recently. In TLAC, so maybe I'll have a quick look and see if I can find that bug. So basically the bug is if we have PCDATA, which looks like so, then something with dog, and then we have something like definition, four-legged mammal, domestic mammal, oysters and unpleasant. Usually thinking. Alright, so that's our XML document. Okay, I'm not a big fan of dogs. Let me four-legged domestic mammal. Friendly makes a friendly and loyal pet. Okay, let's please all the people who like dogs. So PCDATA import PCDATA. Okay, so we got an XML bug. XML import bug. PCDATA missing. Test.xml. Progressive mammal that makes a friendly. File import XML. Now how am I gonna? I don't even know how I'm gonna fix this. I made a lot of changes to the XML. I made a lot of changes to the XML importer not too long ago. So this prefer PC data is supposed to. I could try run in debug mode and step through it. I made a lot of changes. I used it using a new version of the library. I totally got all this XML code. So in the process, I must have added a bug that yeah. Mm. Prepare PC to the second child if yeah, I must either step through that with a debugger. Let's just duplicate the damn bug first. Oh, there it is. So the fact that the definition is missing, that's the bug. Alright, so we've duplicated the bug. This definition is supposed to be sitting there as a text node. Just check if my stream is live. Why is everything? Okay, it could be something as simple as a virtual function that's not getting called because there were some changes in the definitions. You know, I updated to new libraries and I made some changes. You know, you've got this. I'm using Xerxes. It's created by the Apache Foundation, and it's an XML importer, X3 parser or whatever they call it. And there's virtual functions. They have these base classes, like the default handler, and you know things like the PCDATA. I think it's this characters function. Or is that? And so you override, you inherit from it, and you override characters. But you know, little funny things can happen. Like if there's a slightly different, this XML-CH, depending on how the library is built, maybe, you know, if it's a slightly different type between the way the library is built and the headers or something that I'm including, then this, you know, might be regarded as not the same virtual function that's overriding the base class. So that would be my first guess, because the changes are made to the XML imports we're changing exactly that. So then this may be not getting called. So we can test if it's getting called by I can either build in debug mode and put a breakpoint here. I'm not sure if my debug, that's going to be the easiest. So let's first see if the debug build is building. I'm not sure if it is. If it is, then that's probably going to be easier than trying to, yeah, I could add little message boxes and stuff, but I've also changed the, yeah, so this, this is supposed to like try to dictate, well, if it's this type, then do this, else do that. So it could also have something to do with this code that I changed. All around August, September. So this might not work properly anymore, and it might end up with an empty string or something silly, I think. Or I think I changed this function. So there's a whole lot of things that could be going wrong. I just want to check something. I've got my CPU is getting a lot of CPU being eaten up. Yeah. So I just want to check what browser tabs are using a lot of CPU. I'll be back in a second with this. Okay, this live streaming is using a whole lot. Test. Alright, I'm back now. Let's see that the debug mode is built now, still building. It can go a bit lower. I'm just waiting for the debug mode build to finish building. And yeah, let me perhaps look at this problem. If MBCDATA started, maybe that, where does that flag get set? So it's possible this function is not getting called. It's possible this flag is not getting set correctly. It's possible that it's getting called but not handling it correctly. There's a lot of things. Start CData, end CData. Let's see if there's but it's PC data, not C data. I'm not sure. So I think I can't remember everything I did, but I think I upgraded to a newer version of start CData, end CData. Xerxes. Oh. Let's search for start CData in start CVP, see third party. Using EM editor. For a moment there, I thought that was some really wrong C++. Then I realized, no, that's not C++. .c is. Alright. Come on, look at this build already. A bit more comfortable. Thanks. Then, yeah, everybody wants to get hold of me now. Yeah. I just wonder if this bug could be really this bug could be something that's really difficult to find, or it could be something simple and easy. What I should also be doing is looking at the history here in Git to just check, just glance over, scan through some of the changes I was making at the time I broke it. You know, that's taught as Git. There. Where's the log option? CTX. That's weird. Let me do that and say import XML. Oh, XML import. So, yeah, I mean, I made a lot of little changes. I'm guessing the Win64 fixes could have broken something. No, that should change nothing. What load size of XML CH? I wonder if that could be hash HTFT TXML import native char instead of char T. Weird. That's the last thing I changed, but it was working. AWG typecast for new XerCC, which says XML-CH. So the new XerCC is 3.2, sets XML-CH to char16_T, whereas I wanted wchar_T, but why? I don't see why this would cause a problem. I could yeah, I don't know, good question. So let's see if these breakpoints hit. None of the breakpoints hit. That can go. Let's see. HTML import them. Yo, I mean the characters one should have at least hit. Sax 2. So this is 2.7. Sax 2 default handle. I also made changes for the Mac build relating to this stuff. So this change could have broken if define Win32 or defined Linux. Then, so this is how it was, unsigned int. Whereas XML size t, so it was an unsigned int. That could break it. Let me go see what this is. Type if unsigned long. Whereas, It's weird. That should. Now the size of these types there's no standard in C++ for the size of types. It varies from compiler to platform, blah blah blah. So long is unsigned long, and unsigned long on is 4 bytes. So unsigned long, that should be the same as a unsigned int, which is what it was. It was a const unsigned int. Now it's XML size t, which should be unsigned long. Unsigned long and unsigned int are surely the same thing on Visual Studio. Unsigned int, unsigned 4 bytes. Unsigned long int. It's the same. Still, that's like the last change, one of the last changes I made when it broke. Maybe I should try roll back to figure out which change broke it, step by step, but that could take long as well. Because if jan2020, I mean, it was definitely looking different, the function signature, it was looking like that. But it should be it should amount to the same thing. If jan2020 or Linux, this is what it did look like. I could test, I could make that let's just check again, what is that? Const unsigned int. So if I change this to const unsigned int, and now suddenly that breakpoint hits this breakpoint, that means that's the change that broke it. But oh, here's the PCDATA handler. What? Comment, not comment. Characters, yeah, characters. PCDATA handler. So const unsigned int. I have a feeling that's not going to fix it, but it's worth a try. That breakpoint hits. Look, the breakpoint hit. Wow. Cool stuff. Oh no, it didn't. Yes, it did. Wow, my hunch was right. So this is the change that broke it. So it was broken September 14th when I did this. But I didn't really understand. I think what's happening here is maybe that it's including the wrong headers or something for Xerxes. Let's just, because why? How can const unsigned int be different from const unsigned long? I suppose it might be. I don't know if the compiler regards that as exactly the same. They're the same size and it's also unsigned. Surely they're directly compatible. Let me just try something. What happens if we make two? Now, if they're different types, then the compiler will allow this. If they're the same type, the compiler is going to bitch. That they, so if these are exactly compatible types according to the compiler, then it won't allow this because I've got two functions that have exactly the same signature. If it is regarding this as two different types, then it means that these are two different function signatures, and then that would explain why the change broke it. I don't actually know. My guess would have been that it treats those as the same type. That's what I thought, but maybe my understanding is wrong. You know, I don't know. Look, it built that without complaining. So these are two different types, unsigned long and unsigned int. That's crazy. Because they're the same size. But I don't know if I'm confused here or what. Let me just confirm again that. Okay, let me make it unsigned long. Just unsigned long, which is supposedly what XML size t is supposedly defined as. But now here's the thing with C++. You know, if I have two copies, I have two copies of this library at least on the hard disk because I have different things can affect. Like if the library was built, wait, no, I have two copies of this library on the hard disk. So if it's somehow including the wrong one, you know, these may be defined differently or something. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Let's just see what it does. You know, I made it unsigned long, unsigned long. So let's see if the breakpoint hits. If the breakpoint doesn't hit, then yeah, it definitely hits with unsigned int. If it doesn't hit with unsigned long, then we know, yeah, then indeed compiler treats them as different types. Breakpoint didn't hit. The compiler treats these as different types. So that's why it's broken. But that means that several things are broken. This function comment is also broken. And characters and that generic X, that probably also broke. But what's the right way to fix this? All right, if defined line X, that's another story. Maybe I must put this back. Oh, wait, this is confusing because we have 64-bit Mac build, we have Linux build, we have a Win32 build, and we have a Win64 build. And these use different versions of Xerxes. And the issues on the Mac are slightly different, because this fix that broke it was a fix to get the Mac working. So I can't just revert, because that would break the Mac build. And potentially the Win64 build would be wrong. I'll have to retest the Win64 build with this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix this entirely today. But I need to get out a critical fix just for the Windows users. Well, not critical, it's not, but yeah, it would be good. So what must I do now? So we have a Win32 build, and we want these signatures to be unsigned int for Win32. But not for Win64. Is it underscore Win64 or just Win64 or what? So we want something similar to this. Why is this doing this though? Let me just look at that header again. Why is this happening in the first place? If XML size t is unsigned integral. It's never an int. Let's just check what folder this is in. Xerxes 2.7. That is the old one. Alright, so that basically the fix for the Mac. New Mac OS 64-bit XML importer break says XML size t is not the same as. This stuff is ridiculous. Honestly, with C++, this is what you do all day. Yeah, a new Mac OS 64-bit XML importer break says XML size t is not the same as an unsigned int. So inheritance, cleaning up this whole issue. So I thought my cleanup would work, but for some strange reason, why would I have to use unsigned int to fix it? Wait, this doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why, because look, if you go to the actual headers, the actual physical headers, that's why, look at that. The old 2.7 Xerxes header physically has in it const unsigned int instead of XML size t. That's why. So it has nothing to do with whether it's Win32. It has to do with whether it's the old Xerxes or the new Xerxes. Because look, Xerxes 3.2, the Xerxes 3 header looks like this. Examine the difference, right? Xerxes 2, Xerxes 3, Xerxes 2, Xerxes 3. Look at that. That's what's different. So this has nothing to do actually with whether it's Windows. It's got to do with whether we're using the older Xerxes library, the Xerxes version. So if, if I used per se, yeah. I mean, it does because it just happens to be there on the Win32 build. We're using the older Xerxes, and everywhere else, Mac and 64-bit, I think we're using the. So what's the right solution? That is a good question. VCC Is there a way to get the Xerxes version? There it is, something like this. Underscore Xerxes version. So this is what we want to do, something like test if Xerxes version is less than 3 or less than equal to 2.7.1, then user unsigned int. Gross. But that code I don't actually want there, to be honest, because I'm going to forget about it. And once I upgrade everything to Xerxes 3, then there'll be no point in having that line of code there. Let's check. But I may never bother to do that. No, not never. At some point it should be updated. If I can't fix this in an hour, I'm not going to fix it now, because I don't have a lot of time to spare on this. I just thought it came up, and it's it's an interesting task to look at for a stream. It's something small that I can. I feel sleepy, and I think it's either because I'm tired or because I ate sugar. I never eat sugar. This is why I never eat sugary things. I can really feel it, yo. It's been a, yeah. I probably also need some sleep. Hmm. 3 to 2. Okay, 27 has to find 270. Alright. So 2, 3, 1, 2. So basically I want something like this. A shift F. Yeah, if this is less than equal to 271 270 270. See in the folder, this is 270. I don't like that. Yeah, but we must basically. I can't see a way. That's just the thing with C++. All you end up doing in these header files is all these silly little things. If this version on that platform, if using that headers, then do that, else do that. Oh, to work around niggledy little bold issues. It's not even, and like things like this, you have to be so careful, because what happens is the compiler doesn't warn, the compiler doesn't give an error, because it's all legal C++. All that happens is the functionality just quietly stops working, because when the types are different, all you've done is define a new virtual function with a different signature. So like Xerxes tries to call the core base function, and you haven't overridden it. You've just created a new function that nothing ever calls, because you think you're inheriting from that one when in cases like this. So there's no build error, there's no compile error. Everything compiles and builds, but the function just doesn't get called. So a little bit of functionality just quietly stops working. It's really actually no, so you have to be very, very careful with these types of things. This is an easy way. This is one of the easiest ways to accidentally create bugs in C++ in your software. Not the easiest, but yeah, I mean relatively easy if you're not, especially for a beginner, if you're not aware of this sort of problem. But I mean, I'm experienced with these types of things and still end up doing stuff like this. All right, because I thought that unsigned long and unsigned int, because they're exactly the same size, should be the same type. They're both 4 bytes on Microsoft C++. So what? I don't know what Microsoft story made. It treats it as different types. Anyway, virtual weight characters. So this 2020. If it's accidental, breaking this different signature type. This should become unnecessary once all builds new C live stream 2020-0108. Build configurations. So this line that I'm adding, once all our build configurations are on Xerxes 3 or higher, then that line should probably go, okay, fix accidental breaking of this in September 2019. Yeah, let's put the exact date. Um, 14th September. So same story with the comment thing. Right, let's just check now. Yeah, what a mess. On the Windows Xerxes errors declare these functions to take unsigned int. On Mac, XML T is a type diff unsigned long. This is enough to break the inheritance on Mac. So basically I had the same bug on Mac. So the fix for the Mac accidentally broke this. When we upgrade to new Xerxes on Windows, we should be able to get rid of this. So yeah, I thought I'd had a way to get rid of it, but I made a mistake. So comment and characters, both comment and characters. Unsigned int, unsigned int. XML size T, XML size T. And then also later on down Yeah. I thought I was done with these stupid if defs, but I was overly optimistic. Alright, but it's an easy little thing to fix. That's actually really pleasant. If I can fix it soon. Now this shouldn't break the Mac, no. So line 833 in the CPP file, we have to do something similar as well. So we have to do this in the header and the CPP file. 833. We have to do something like this, right? In the CPP file and send int. Why is that not XML size T? Surely that should be XML size T. I'm gonna have to retest this on all the platforms. Okay. Okay, let's see if that builds. Now this folder I'm working in, yeah, it's like I got a main source code on Bitbucket, and then for this, and then I've got a local copy that clones that, and then I've got another local branch that's cloned that. So to implement this fix, I have to just push it like upstream twice, and then do a rebuild. Let's see if these breakpoints get called now. Oh, I'm really thirsty. Just need some water, yeah. So that breakpoint got called, but why is this false? Oh, that's just a new line. But why didn't the other breakpoint get called? That's what I want to know now. Because there's 3 breakpoints. Why didn't this get called? That's now my other question. That looks more straightforward. Because if that never gets called, then that'll never be true. And it'll never process PC data. Or will it? Oh no, wait, it does. Okay, let's run it. See what happens. Oh, maybe that's the difference between PC data and C data. Look, it worked. That fixed the bug. Yay, wonderful. So in 1 hour, that's a good little 1 hour task. A nice little task for a live stream. And it gives you an idea what a typical, looking at a bug and fixing it, very typical. It's taking through the whole process from the bug report, you know, digging through it, debugging, and doing a solution. Now, so I'm just now rebuilding in release mode. I say Alt B, and I select Configuration Manager, and I selected the release build. So I'm just testing the release build to see if that works too. And then I'm going to push these changes. But let me first git bash. Okay, ctlux git status. So I just want to check that my branch is up, that this whole branch is properly up to date also. And this is quite a critical bug fix. I would upload new builds for this. It's worth, because our build system is automated, so it's not difficult to produce a new build that includes this fix. Git stash, git pull, git stash apply, stash drop. Now, git status, we're gonna just use tortoise svn here to do a git commit, and if we look git remote minus v, just make the font bigger so you can see, then that is our, so it's not yet pushing into the bit bucket, it's first pushing it. So we use F7 in tortoise git just to show differences here. Alright, virtual void comment, unsigned int, unsigned int. And that one is wrong, that's wrong. That should be XML size T. Reload changes, yes, that looks better. So basically, what we're doing here, so it actually isn't technically got anything to do with whether we're on Windows, Win32 world. It's actually the Xerxes version that is what matters there. Basically, the older Xerxes version used unsigned int in the header file, so we need to match that. Or if it's slightly different type, it doesn't override. The inheritance doesn't work because it acts as a new. And the compiler won't warn because it's legal C++. It's legal C++ for a new different function. Because the compiler doesn't know you're trying to override the same. I think like some of the compilers will warn though if you've got something that looks like you may have a bug like this. I've seen compilers warn. I don't know if it's this Microsoft one or if I saw it on the Mac on GCC. I don't remember. But anyway, so now what we're doing is basically what we said there. If the version is 2.7 or less, then I'll do that. Yeah, that shouldn't be there in the CPP file. That's a mistake. So I always diff. I never commit without checking the diffs. Never, never, never. I read every single line. I never commit anything to the source control without reading every line. And yeah, so that was some junk that shouldn't have been there. Fix accidental breaking of PCDATA parsing, inheritance, overload, broken right, different function signature, but there should be all. Okay, that's fine. Commit and push. So that pushes it to its remote. So that's the branch. That's not, there's Bitbucket. Yeah, the Bitbucket, then the TL one, and then the TLX one that we just committed and pushed there. And now we got to push from there up. Okay, close. C/TL, that's status. Alright. Modify to get reset. Minus hard and get pull. That's unnecessary, I'm just being paranoid. The git status, alright, so now the CTL copy. Your branch is ahead of origin master and commit. So we need to get push now to this remote, which is the actual Bitbucket one, to push that fix in. And then I need to do something quickly. Okay, my local copy of this file is going to be corrupt because I just ran out of hard disk space on my D drive where I'm recording. Just freeing some space. And I'm back now. So now, TL, we go to that folder, TL installers. This is where we do the build. Last build is 2639, I think. Or did we already build the 2640 on the Mac? Check what the last build number on the Mac was. Fire up the Mac. Two 2639. So the next build is 2640. We've got a batch file to manage that. 2640. So that push worked. So what do we need to do now? Let's just check. We have a disk space for this. Yeah. Free a little space. Okay, that is going to kick up the CPU usage. So that's going to run automated builds of all configurations of our software just to test. And hopefully then I can just, if it works, I can just upload that to the site as a fix for end users. And yeah, I think that's it for the stream. Thanks for watching. Let's see if anybody's here.